I love a diesel. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are test driving a car that they no longer build, an engine they no longer manufacture, at least for the US market. We are in a 2011 BMW X5 xDrive35d twin-turbo diesel, 265 horsepower, 425 torque, 6-speed automatic transmission, all-wheel drive, and this particular example has 178,000 miles on it, and I gotta say it runs extremely well. Some squeaks and rattles, which you can pretty much always expect in just about any BMW X5 that's past its initial 36-month lease term, but nothing major. The car feels solid. The car drives well. I love the steering. This is an E70 X5, which was the last X5 that still had the hydraulic steering. BMW, back when they took their moniker as the ultimate driving machine very seriously, their cars had heavy steering. It was extremely communicative. If you liked driving a car, it was fantastic. But if you just bought a BMW because you liked the way it looks, you complained about how difficult it was for you to make a U-turn with your puny little arms. And unfortunately, the people who were buying BMWs because they liked the way they looked started to outnumber the people who bought it because of its ultimate driving machine status. So they eventually switched over to electric power steering, and in my opinion, that was right around the time BMW jumped the shark. But this has still got that heavy, hydraulically barely assisted steering. The ride is actually pretty comfortable. If you read kind of contemporary reviews of this car when it came out, some people complain about the ride. I don't know if, you know, the shocks being, I'm sure, somewhat worn on this car, maybe soften it up a little bit, but the ride on this car is not bad. And it's relatively quiet. I'm doing about, what am I doing? I'm doing about 50 right now. And there's some road noise and some tire noise, but nothing bad. I sold new BMWs for about a year and a half. I worked at a dealer, but most BMW dealers, you have the new car department and the used car department, and there's a pretty strict separation of church and state. So I was in the new car department. And you get a lot of lease returns, obviously. People, you know, the lease on their 3 Series is over, so they come in and lease another one, whatever. That's, you know, the way it normally goes with Beamers. So I'd get into some of these like 3 Series and X3s and X5s, and like from the half a block from the new car showroom over to the used car lease return storage thing, the cars just felt like they were going to fall apart. Sometimes they were fine and they were solid, and I could never quite ascertain if it was just a massive variance in build quality. That's kind of what I suspect, or a massive variance in what these customers were doing with their vehicles. You know, if one person just drove it really hard or over a bunch of rough roads or this or that. But I always felt like it was, I think German cars in general, Volkswagens, BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, it's a little bit of a roll of the dice to it. But whoever bought this, they came up sevens, because this car is solid. I love the feel of a diesel. I love that torque. I'm not even pushing it, but you can just feel that it has so much to give. It's very, very pleasant. we're gonna give it a little bit here when this light turns green, as long as nothing unpredictable occurs. Get ahead of this bus. This bus is not gonna know what hit it. Little lag, all in, shifted at 4,200, shifted at 4,500, letting up a little bit, handling around the curve, quite stable. Probably handled a little tighter when it was new. Traffic's already building up a little bit. Well, this is a freeway interchange. What time is it? Oh, it's 2:16 p.m. That's about the time the traffic starts to build up in Southern California. So many people, so many places to go. We get on the freeway, and when we get there, no one knows. BMW. This is a very nice car to drive. This car just makes me happy because it's the engine. It's a diesel. I love diesels, and you know, I did a fuel economy drive in this car last night. I'll post a link to that video in the description, and I got 33 miles to the gallon out of this thing. And it says it'll, you know, the top speed, the published top speed when it was new was 146 miles an hour. And this is basically a 15-year-old drivetrain technology. And frickin' Volkswagen, and to a lesser extent Chrysler and Mercedes-Benz, because they both had some diesel emissions faux pas, had to ruin it for everybody. And now we're stuck with stupid electric cars. And I gotta say, I don't really mind electric cars on the face of them, but I don't think that they are the end-all be-all. I think that for some people, an electric car is the perfect solution for somebody who mainly just drives around town and is more environmentally friendly than some sort of car that burns fossil fuels, because especially if they started building them so that they were lighter and had smaller motors that required smaller battery packs because they were mainly just going to be for around town cars, that would be great. When you start getting into things like the Rivian and the new Hummer electric car with 1,000 horsepower, that's super wasteful in and of itself, because the battery packs have to be so big, you're using so much extra raw materials for the batteries, and mining for that stuff and manufacturing those things is dirty, dirty business. And fossil fuels are a dirty, dirty business too, but for somebody who needs to drive long distances, diesel is the way to go. And we could have kind of some renewable, partial or full biodiesels, so you're not having as much impact on the greenhouse. You know, Tesla thinks they're gonna make an electric big rig. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. An electric big rig. Yeah, an electric motor's got plenty of power to tow. All right, I'll let you in because I'm a nice guy. But at what cost for the batteries? You know, there's a reason why all big rigs are diesels. They're not gasoline, they're not electric, they're frickin' diesels, because diesel is what you want to haul a heavy load and go a long distance. And I drive long distances on a regular basis because my hometown's about 500 miles away. I go back often. I'm going back in 3 days. And so an electric car for my main driver, just for me, isn't quite right, because I don't want to drive an electric car 500 miles. I know it's possible, but I don't want to. Now I'm just ranting about how much I like diesels. I'm getting in there, buddy. Do-do-do-do-do-do. You can try to pass me, but I'm not gonna let you. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. So now we are on the freeway. Let's see. That's 75. Some road noise, some wind noise. Engine's relatively quiet. You can hear it. But it's just a nice little growl. It's not offensive like older diesels. I would love an E93 series with this engine in it, but the potential maintenance issues scare the hell out of me. I think this engine is actually pretty reliable, and I mean, this particular car with 178,000 miles running well would indicate that that's the truth. And I have a theory with diesel vehicles that the kind of people who buy diesel vehicles are more likely to do all the maintenance. And so if you buy a diesel used, as a rule of thumb, you're more likely to get a car that is better maintained than a gasoline engine. But when did they stop building the E90? 2011, I think, was the last year. That was the last 3 Series with the hydraulic steering. What day is it? It's like Tuesday. Where are you? Everybody going? I swear, traffic is worse now than it was before the pandemic started, and I don't know why. Gas is $17,000 a gallon. Rent is $50,000 a month. You have to perform an armed robbery to get baby formula. And where are all you people going? You may have noticed the bell and the little dash cam here. I rented this car off of Turo, and those belong to the owner of the vehicle, and it may be cluttering up my shot, but I feel like maybe those are the car's good luck charms, so I'm not going to mess with them. Oh, that diesel shove in the back is just friggin' great. It's a different feeling from a gasoline engine. If you've never driven a powerful turbo diesel like this, it's not immediate in the way that, like, if this was an xDrive35d with the twin-turbo V8 that they were putting in them, or a WRX STI, which is a completely different car, those feel immediate. The revs are immediate. With the diesel, it's more like it's relentless. It pushes you, and it just feels like it's gonna give you a sustained push, and it's not gonna give up or let you down. And it's just like going, 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 shift, still going. Volkswagen gets in front of you, you gotta let your foot off of it. That's the way that works. And then you put your foot back on it. It's just so satisfying. I don't know, maybe I'm just weird. I've always had a thing for diesels. At least the modern ones that sound good. I didn't like them when I was a kid. My Uncle Joe bought an old Mercedes diesel back in the 80s, brand new, and when I was a little kid, pulled it up to my grandma's house, and I was staring at his car when he pulled up, and allegedly He got out and asked, "How do you like my car, Dietrich?" And I said, "It sounds like a bucket of bolts." And my grandmother thought that was the funniest thing she'd ever heard, because it was true. But modern turbo diesels with direct injection are so much more refined. I sometimes think they're more refined than modern turbocharged gasoline engines with direct injection. You can hear somehow, some way, with a lot of modern turbocharged gas engines, which it's getting to the point that almost every new car has those, especially on the 4-cylinders, you hear the injectors so much. It's almost like an old diesel with that tick on it. And like new diesels are quieter. I don't know. Back in the day on the Mark V Jettas, the cheater emissions cars, the Jetta TDIs were quieter than the gasoline engine ones, at least in the United States, because the gasoline engine ones all had the 2.5 liter 5-cylinder that sounded like a tractor engine. And it was just ridiculous. The only Tesla that I ever drove was a Model Y, and it was a dual motor, which is the faster of the Model Ys. And you can get faster Teslas than that, I know. And for sure the Model Y was faster than this, but I'd rather have this. I like this more. The Model Y was fun, don't get me wrong, and it was cool and it was modern. And I don't know if I'd really want one of these with 178,000 miles on it. But if it was like, hey, you want a brand new X5 twin-turbo diesel or a brand new Model Y, give me the X5 twin-turbo diesel. Man, in the European market, they made this engine with 3 turbos. Oh, that must have been cool. If you happen to be watching this video and you're in Europe and you've driven one of those tri-turbos, I think it was in the 40Ds over there, maybe, or 50Ds, depending on the model, because it replaced a previous V8 turbo diesel that they had. You gotta let me know how that is. That must be fun. Anyway, that's kind of, for the most part, what I have to say. I'm just sort of driving a weird loop on the freeway now, and I'm eventually going to get back home. I was trying to get some good footage of me driving this car quickly, but people got places to go and things to do, and let's see. Oh, that's nice. BMW, the ultimate diesel driving machine. They were kind of going crazy in this period, because you could get an X5 or a 5 Series or a 3 Series with either a 3-liter inline 6 twin-turbo diesel or twin-turbo gasoline engine. And they're both great motors. And they don't make either of them anymore. Oh, actually, no. They still make that twin-turbo gas engine in the M2, a version of it, I think. No, I'm wrong about that. It's a single turbo in that one. The Z4, the old Z4 was the last one with the twin turbo. What did they call that one? The 35IS. That was a fun car. Nobody bought it, but that was a fun car. That was a proper sports car. I think that was the last BMW with the twin turbo inline 6. Whatever, who cares? Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm just blathering to myself, as I typically do by the end of my test drive videos. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And Have yourself a fantastic day. Bye-bye.